We're on the air in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Horrible murder! Read all about it! Avenger strikes again! Horrible murder! Read all about it! Avenger strikes again!
Good evening. Tonight, WFR Playhouse of the Air and our sponsors present a trio of stories of suspense and mystery entitled Vintage Hitchcock. Each week at this hour, we invade your living rooms, providing your radio holdups and bring you exciting stories of the strange and unusual. Dark and compelling yarns culled from the four corners of the world, bringing murder back into the home where it belongs. Tonight, we present three tales immortalized on celluloid by the master of suspense, Alfred Hitchcock, the Lodger.
Sabotage.
And the 39 Steps.
Tonight's first play is a sweet, homey little story of intrigue, suspicion, and murder. The cast is a rather small one and threatens to get smaller with every passing moment. The play is entitled The Lodger and takes place in London in 1888. The newspaper headlines scream of a killer on the loose, going by the name of the Avenger, whose fifth victim has just been discovered. As our story begins, we meet Ellen Bunting and her husband Robert, a couple with rooms to let in their modest home in the Whitechapel district. And now, The Lodger.
Robert, how about this Avenger person? You know, he could be the person standing next to you, or maybe the man we bump into. It's a terrible thought.
Yes, if only the police had something to go on. It looks like the Avenger is just too quick for him.
But look here. It says this girl he got last night was like all the others. Pretty, blonde, and she had just come from the music hall. Exactly like all the rest of his victims. And let's see. Described by her friends as a very light-hearted girl. What a pity.
Ellen, did you ever stop to think who fits that to a T? In fact, fits all those girls' descriptions perfectly. Our own Daisy.
That's a pretty thought, Robert. Well, maybe it's a good thing that she's with her aunt instead of here. London isn't a safe place for any girl right now.
Just the same, I can't help thinking about how fine it would be to have her here with us.
Well, there's no sense in even talking about it. We just can't afford it.
Oh, I know that, Ellen. But I hoped we can manage it some way.
How? Haven't I scrimped myself half crazy trying to keep us going? But you don't care about that, do you? No, your Daisy's more important to you than I am.
Now, Ellen, that don't sound like you.
Well, I can't help if it don't. What are we going to do?
We'll get along, dear. Something will turn up.
We haven't had a lodger for months. Nobody even comes to look at the room anymore.
Things will work out, my love.
They ain't never going to work out. Soon enough, we won't even have a roof over our heads. I'm sorry, Robert. I didn't mean to go on so.
Oh, I know you didn't, dear. It's all right.
I didn't think. It's just that I've been so worried.
Don't you go worrying another second, old girl. Why, first thing you know, you won't be pretty anymore. You have your face all wrinkled and you...
Now see here!
Come on, let's see a smile. Just one smile.
Oh, let me alone. Oh, well, who do you suppose that could be?
Awful late for visitors.
Robert, do you think it should be somebody looking for a room?
Well, it might be.
Oh, I wish it were. Then you could have your daisy back.
Want me to go to the door?
No, I'll go. You just stay here.
Well, all right now. Be sure to get a good look at him before you let him in, dear.
Oh, I'm coming. Good evening, sir.
I saw your sign. It says you have a room to rent?
Yes, sir. Yes. Please, won't you come in?
Thank you. Thank you.
It's a horrid night out there, isn't it? Coming down in sheets? Might I take your cape, sir?
No, thank you. Now, I'm looking for a quiet room. It must be very quiet.
Oh, we have that, sir. Just that. Above all, our house is quiet.
Fine,
Your bag, sir? May I take it?
I'll hold it.
Do you have any other bags?
Just the one. Now, if you'd be so good as to show me the room, please.
Oh, yes, sir. It's right up these stairs. This way.
Thank you.
You see, sir, there's just my husband and me here. And we're ever so quiet, and I'm sure you'll find this room to your liking, sir. Here we are. Now, I'll just light the gas. There we are.
Very good. Why, I think I like this room.
Yes, it is pleasant, isn't it? And there aren't many rooms with such pretty pictures, are there now? We've had them in the family for years, sir.
Pretty pictures interest me very little. But what does impress me about this room is the very simplicity of it. Why, the bareness!
Yes, sir, it's not all crowded, yes.
It would be quite suitable,
Bunting, sir.
Mrs. Bunting. You see, I do a great deal of studying in my book here, the Holy Bible.
Yes, sir. And please, let me help you with your bag.
No! Don't you touch it.
Well, I only wish to help.
Forgive me, Mrs. Bunting. It's just that I'm quite weary. I'm very tired. See, I do a lot of studying.
Oh, yes. Yes, of course, sir.
He bringeth them to their desired haven. Beautiful words, Mrs. Bunting.
Indeed they are, sir.
And now, at last, I have found my haven of rest.
Yes, sir. Then you'll be taking the room.
Let us see now. What are you going to charge me? I shall be staying in most of the time. I shall be wanting meals.
Oh, we can see to that, sir.
Now, Mrs. Bunting, if I pay you, say, 42 shillings a week for this room, would that be satisfactory?
Oh, why, yes, sir. That will be quite all right.
Good, and I shall pay you several weeks in advance. My name is Sleuth.
Mr. Sleuth?
Sleuth. Think of a hound, Mrs. Bunting, and you'll never forget my name. And here are your 42 shillings.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And I think I shall enjoy a light supper now, Mrs. Bunting. Just bread and butter, perhaps. Could you arrange that?
Certainly, sir. I'll do that now. And if you'd be requiring any beer or spirits?
Certainly not.
Oh, sir, what did I say?
I thought you had understood me, Mrs. Bunting, and I had hoped that you and your husband were abstainers.
But we are, sir. We don't keep nothing about. I would have had to go out and...
Oh, of course. I'm sorry, Mrs. Bunting. I don't wish you to think me rude. You've been so kind and considerate.
I hope I know a gentleman when I see one.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Now, I'll just hurry along and get your supper.
Please, do you hear?
Oh, sir, what did I do?
You were humming that music.
Oh, but
Music is an instrument of sin.
Oh, yes, sir.
And you did tell me, Mrs. Bunting, that your house would be absolutely quiet.
Oh, but it is, sir. I didn't mean any harm. Believe me, sir.
I believe you, and I'm sorry I spoke sharply. I know you're trying to be both considerate and kind.
Oh, thank you, sir.
So we took the room at 42 shilling a week.
Yes, in advance.
You know, Ellen, it's wonderful. Do you realize what this means? We can have Daisy back.
Yes, I know. Here, Robert, warm the teapot and put some tea leaves in it.
Righto. We can have her back with us tomorrow. You know something, old girl? We're not going to worry too much about Daisy falling prey to that Avenger fellow.
Whatever do you mean, Robert?
Well, she's not a girl who takes a drink, you know.
And what's that to do with it? Please.
Oh, something I read in the paper while you were upstairs with the gentleman. I just found out that every one of the Avenger's victims had been drinking. I figure he must be some kind of rabid abstainer.
What a peculiar chap.
That sound.
That's Mr. Sleuth. He has a limp and uses a cane.
Why is he pacing around like that?
Never mind that now. Hurry, Robert. Put the butter on the tray. Hurry with it. Yes, now the tea. I suppose it's all in order. Open the door, Robert. I'll take it up to him right away.
There you go, old girl. First thing in the morning, I'm going to fetch Daisy and bring her home. Oh, it's a wonderful thing, Ellen. Wonderful. Hurry up with your supper, old girl.
Oh, I mustn't do that.
Let not thy mind be drawn in her ways, neither be thou deceived with her paths. For she hath cast down many wounded, and the strongest have been slain by her.
Mr. Sleuth.
Miss Bunting!
Oh!
You will please knock before entering in the future, Mrs. Bunting.
Oh, sir, your tray. I'll tidy it all up for you straight away and put another kettle on.
That won't be necessary. I have decided to go for a walk. Why, it's a pleasant night for one.
Tonight? Well, very well, Mr. Sleuth. I'll have this all tidied up by the time you return.
Very well.
Oh, why, Mr. Sleuth, you...
Yes? What is it?
Those pictures, those pretty girls, you've turned all their faces to the wall.
Yes, I've turned them to the wall because they're both wicked and sinful.
Oh, but, sir,
Don't you agree, Mrs. Bunting, that everything wicked and sinful should be purged from this earth?
Yes, I do.
I'm very glad to hear that, Mrs. Bunting. Now, if you'll excuse me, I must go. Good night, Mrs. Bunting.
Ellen rushed to the window to watch as Mr. Sleuth moved off down the street, his single handbag in hand and black cape swirling about him. Finally, he was lost in the fog. She stared after him for a long while before doing the dishes and retiring for the evening. And a restless night she had, almost dawned before she had convinced herself that at most Mr. Sleuth was a trifle odd. And after all, paying 42 shillings, maybe he had a right to his strange ways. It was daylight when she was suddenly awakened by the shouting of the newsboy.
Horrible murder! Read all about it! Murder at King's Cross last night! Avenger strikes again!
Ellen was a little frightened to meet our lodger the next morning. She couldn't quite understand her uneasiness in his presence. The lodger's sudden appearance promised to save their household. But where did he go at night, disappearing into the London fog? Since Mr. Bunting had gone to meet Daisy, Mr. Sleuth ate breakfast alone. Ellen watched him through a crack in the door. Finally, she went in with more tea.
More tea, Mr. Sleuth?
Thank you, Mrs. Bunting, but I don't care for any more tea. You're very kind, but I have to go on with my work now. If you'll excuse me.
Her fear really changed to pity then. He seemed so helpless and tired, and he was so considerate. Why was she so uneasy? It must be all that talk of the Avenger and the horrible murders on everyone's lips. This man couldn't be a murderer. It was all a coincidence. Besides, she just couldn't afford to lose that 42 shillings a week. Around 10 in the morning, Mr. Sleuth left the house, and Ellen decided to go upstairs and have a look about his room. She had to find out what he carried in his one piece of luggage. It wasn't a bag. It was more like a case. Yes, a case for a knife.
Ellen rushed upstairs, her heart beating wildly at the thought she'd had of that case.
No, there wasn't anything in his closet. She went over to the chest of drawers against the wall.
Nothing in the top one.
In the next one, there's just some socks and underclothes.
The next one was empty. There was only one other place for the small, narrow case. The bottom drawer.
And it was locked. She pulled and pulled at it, and suddenly she heard the front door open downstairs.
Oh, you're upstairs. Ellen! Daisy's here!
Oh, good heavens!
Oh, Mother, it's so good to see you. It's so good to be home. Why, whatever is the matter?
Yes, you're quite white, Ellen.
Well, I'm all right. It's just that I wasn't expecting you so soon.
It's good to be back, Mother. The country's all right, but there's nothing like London now, is there?
No, there isn't.
Well, as long as that Avenger's about, you're going to have to keep this young lady indoors. London or no London. And we're going to have to do something about these blonde locks.
Oh, don't worry about that. I'll dye him, maybe.
Oh. Well, Daisy, I might as well get you settled.
You see, Father, what did I tell you? She'd have a dustcloth in my hand before I even get my coat off.
Oh. Mr. Sleuth.
What are you all doing in my room?
We were just leaving, sir.
I require privacy, Mrs. Bunting. I thought I had made that clear.
You did, Mr. Sleuth, you did.
From now on, Mrs. Bunting, I shall keep my room locked.
Oh, but you see, sir, I was just tidying up a bit. And Mr. Bunting, he brought our daughter home. She just arrived. This is Daisy.
Pleased to meet you, sir.
She's been away for quite a long while, you see, Mr. Sleuth, and we've all been a bit excited, you might say.
Yes.
You were probably surprised to hear us laughing and carrying on.
Yes, I must say that I was. But then there are different kinds of joy, are there not, Daisy?
Yes. Yes, I'm sure there are.
Yes, there is the despicable, evil joy of the abandoned. And then there's the divine joy and happiness of the blessed. A vast difference, that. You understand that, Daisy? Don't you?
Why, yes, Mr. Sleuth.
I certainly hope so, Daisy. Nowadays there are so very few young women, like yourself, who do.
Why, Mr. Sleuth? You mean a girl's not to enjoy life at all? Not to have any fun?
Enjoyment and fun, my child, are the devil's breeding ground. Why, all his implements are there. You've got pleasure and impropriety, the temptation of music and dancing.
Oh, there's nothing I like better than dancing, and I'm not...
You like to dance?
She doesn't know what she was saying, Mr. Sleuth. She's just a child. Daisy, you know you've never been one for dancing. You never learned how.
Oh, but I did learn, Mother. Well, when I was away. What's so wrong about it? What's the harm in dancing?
It says she lies in wait as for a prey, and increases the transgressions among men.
I don't know what you mean. I've never heard such poppycock.
Poppycock? You would call the scripture poppycock?
Daisy! Daisy, go into the front room.
It's all right, Mrs. Bunting. It's all right. I'm used to that kind of talk. Good day!
He's a queer one, all right, but such a gentleman, too.
It's because of the rent Mr. Sleuth is paying that we're able to have you home, my Daisy.
Well, in that case, I suppose he's not that bad after all.
But he is.
What?
Ellen!
Daisy, I do not want you to be alone with Mr. Sleuth. Will you promise me that, Daisy?
Why should I make such a promise?
What's come over you, Ellen?
Nothing. My nerves, I'd imagine. Perhaps I'll go out for a while and get some air.
For a moment, Ellen was about to tell Daisy and Robert of her awful suspicions, but she stopped. They were only suspicions. At the same time, she'd had a thought. She'd go to the coroner's inquest they were having for the Avenger's latest victim, hoping to hear something that would clear her suspicions of the lodger. At least she would give him this chance.
A lady was testifying as Ellen took her seat. The witness had seen the Avenger from her window, she said, and her description of him didn't tally with Mr. Sleuth at all. I can't tell you how relieved Ellen was, until it was pointed out that the witness couldn't possibly have seen anyone that night from her window because of the fog.
The next witness was a Mr. Cannot. Ellen leaned forward anxiously as they swore him in and began asking questions.
You say, Mr. Cannot, you are positive that you saw this man?
Positive, sir. It was only a few moments before the murder that I saw the Avenger.
Describe him.
Well, he wore a black cape, and he was very gaunt-looking. He walked with a bit of a limp and carried a cane. Oh, and he was carrying a small handbag.
A handbag?
Oh, yes, sir. A small, narrow handbag. Such a one as might contain a knife.
Order, please. Silence in the court. Proceed, Mr. Cannot.
Well, he seemed an educated man, I judge, but quite mad.
What do you mean by that?
Well, as he emerged from the fog, he was talking aloud to himself. Sounded as if he were reciting scriptures from the Bible.
There was no doubt about it now. Ellen was certain that Mr. Sleuth was the Avenger. She ran out of the courtroom as quickly as she could, running and walking, somehow, as the nightmare of terror grew bigger and bigger inside her. She was 3 streets from her home when she saw her husband, Robert. One thought hit her clearly. She realized Daisy must be home alone with the Avenger.
Robert! Robert!
Ellen, what is it?
Robert, where's Daisy?
Why, she's at Madame Tussaud's Wax Museum.
Whatever is she doing there?
The lodger, Mr. Sleuth, invited her there.
What? Our lodger? He's the Avenger.
Whatever are you saying?
Listen, Robert, listen. Mr. Sleuth is the Avenger. I am 100% certain of it.
And I let Daisy go with him.
Hurry, Robert, hurry! To Madame Tussaud's. We've no time to spare.
Racing as they'd never before, Ellen and Robert ran through the town and toward Madame Tussaud's. They searched madly through the museum until there was only one place left to look, the Chamber of Horrors.
Listen, it says here that these are actual death masks of some of England's most notorious killers.
I'm afraid I find this section of the museum all a bit too ghoulish for my taste. Suppose we return to see The Last Supper again?
Oh, come on now. Don't you like a nice fright every now and then?
Do I frighten you, Daisy?
Daisy! Daisy!
Daisy, where are you?
Oh, why, it's Mother and Father. I'm here.
Daisy!
Where is he?
Who, Mother?
Where's Mr. Sleuth?
Why, I'm not sure where he's gone. He was right here. Oh, there he is. Mr.
Stop! No, Daisy. He's the Avenger.
What?
Mr. Sleuth is the Avenger.
Over the weeks that followed, the Avenger murders seemed to stop, and the Buntings never saw Mr. Sleuth again. He had vanished as suddenly as he had arrived. Each night, as she prepared for bed, Ellen found herself haunted by the thought of him.
Ready for bed, my dear?
Yes, Robert.
Good night, my love.
Good night.
Sweet dreams, my pet.
You too. Robert,
Yes?
Where's Daisy?
She wanted to get her mind off things. She's at the music hall.
Well, I suppose there's safety in numbers. Right, Robert?
How many?
One, please.
How many?
1, please.
Extra! Extra! Avenger strikes again! Avenger kills Blonde at Music Hall!
Well, that was a warm and touching little fable, now wasn't it? Naturally, the Avenger was eventually caught, indicted, tried.
Convicted, sentenced, and paid his debt to society. Although this didn't put an end to the occasional newspaper headline announcing yet another murder of another young blonde woman. But in the case of the lodger, crime does not pay, not even on radio. You must have a good sponsor. Here's ours.
Air travel has come a long way since passengers crouched in open cockpits bundled to the eyes. Now, comfort makes its greatest advance in the history of flight. Imagine an airplane so perfectly air-conditioned that even the faintest trace of tobacco smoke is filtered from the atmosphere you breathe. Gracious stewardesses serve you cocktails and champagne dinners aloft, and pilots with years of experience in the friendly skies guide you smoothly to fascinating destinations just hours away. Mount Rushmore, the Statue of Liberty, and San Francisco's Golden Gate Bridge, just to name a few. On North by Northwest Airlines, the world leader in air travel, first class is the only service we offer. So, come fly with North by Northwest and get a real picture of how wonderful air travel can be.
That was beautifully put.